This is Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calc. We're doing 6.3 in Pre-Calculus, and today in this video we're going to talk about IJ notation from page 432. So we already know component form for a vector, right? So let's say I have some vector v, and that vector v is, let's just go ahead and say 3, 4. We've used that one before, okay? So what that means is that the vector goes 3 units to the right and 4 units up, right? There's another way to write this. So if you recall when we talked about unit vectors in another video, that I is actually a specific vector, right? I is the unit vector 1 in the positive horizontal direction, right? So 1, 0, right? And j is also a specific vector. It's the vector 0, 1, right? So these are both unit vectors, right? So these are unit vectors. They have specific this is a specific kind of unit vector. They're specifically named this. Like I is the unit vector in the positive x direction, and j is the unit vector in the positive y direction. So these are unit vectors that always have the same meaning, okay? So another way to write vector v, instead of writing vector v as 3 in the x direction and a positive 4 in the y direction, would be to say that it is 3i plus 4j. Right? And you can see how if I change this back to component form, it would be the same answer, right? Because this would be a 3 times this 1, 0 plus a 4 times this 0, 4, or sorry, 0, 1. My bad. Got ahead of myself. So that's going to be a 3, 0, right? Plus a 0, 4, which if you add your x components, right, your horizontal components, and your add your vertical components, sure enough, you get that same 3, 4 in component form. So IJ notation is just another way to write component form. So when you see this notation, this 3i plus 4j, it means exactly the same thing as this component form. It's just a different way to write it. Now, I personally prefer component form, but they mean the same thing. So let's walk through a quick example of using that notation. So as an example, and I really want to say that this is 8, but I could be wrong. So as example 8, let's say, so I'm going to ask you to write each vector in IJ notation, right? So if for A, I tell you that vector A, because I'm lazy, is -1, 7, and for B, we'll call it vector B, because again, totally lazy. Let's do 0, 8, right? So vector A could be written as -I or -1i, that's fine, right? Plus 7j, right? And j is also a vector. Vector B could be written as 0i, right? Plus 8j, or if you wanted to, because it's a 0i, you could just call this guy 8j. Okay, so that's how we could switch something between IJ notation and component form. They're the same concept, just a different way to write the same stuff.